Hey you guys, this is Sharzad Morgan here, and I want to make a video about falling for people that have no interest in us at all and believing our own bullshit. Came across a situation like that recently with someone who thought I was interested in him when I never was. I always found him physically repulsive, but he was a subscriber on my Just for Fans, so I was always kind and respectful to him. But I have some empathy for that situation because I have also done that. I never let this guy on. It was in his imagination and his delusion that he thought I was interested in him. I never was. Never. But I've done the same thing. I deluded myself many times. I had a crush on a guy, and because my feelings were so intense, I thought that it was mutual. I thought that I could feel his interest, that my feelings were so strong that surely it was mutual. It was chemistry after all. My feelings for him weren't a delusion, they were chemistry. Feelings are chemistry, right? And if it's chemistry, that means it's a joint thing between both of us. So my feelings can only exist because you must have them also. It's our chemistry, right? I mean, right? No. I have caused a lot of delusion to myself, and I had to learn to look for signs that people are actually interested in me, actually attracted to me, and that if they are, they're going to show it. I think in the case of some men, they make the mistake of thinking just because a woman is polite, that surely he can turn her interest around by proving himself, by being such a good friend, being such a good customer, doing what she wants, maintaining boundaries. I'm going to prove to her that I'm worthy, that she's going to like me. I've done this with men. I'm going to prove to him that my love will make you want me. If I just love you more, you will want me. That's something that works more in family relationships, I realized. We do that in our families, like, oh, my sister's mad at me, so I'm just going to, cook her a nice dinner and do something nice, and that'll warm her up again. That works for a sister. It'll work for a husband. It'll work for your kids, your long lost aunt, but it doesn't work in attraction. Doing something for someone who has no interest in you is not going to make them like you more. Now, of course, there are cases where friendship has become romantic, actual friendship. Not a man simping for a woman, but actual friendship. Like, these people actually were friends. She actually liked him, counted on him, and then one day the relationship took a romantic turn. That's pretty rare, but it has happened. But that was a mutual friendship. It wasn't just a guy getting friend zoned. So putting yourself on the periphery of someone, hoping that they will like you, is really a long shot, because women usually will know within a few seconds if they find a man repulsive or not. And men will usually know pretty within a few seconds if they would date a woman or not. So one of the best advices that Robert Glover gives men is, don't try to go after a woman who has no interest in you. Walk through an open door. Find the open doors. There are many open doors. Find the open doors and walk through the open doors. For me as a woman, I look for men that actually have an interest in me. And for men to have an interest in us, they should be willing to show it in action by wanting to take us out on dates without trying to get in our booties, But this is a man that I'm already interested in, because within a few seconds, I know if he's at my socioeconomic level. A lot of these guys that fall for me are not at my socioeconomic level, or they're too old and frail. That's typically what I run into. They're physically repulsive because they're old and frail. They don't have the muscle tone anymore, or they're fat, they don't dress well. I'm not interested in guys in their 70s. I find them physically repulsive, frankly. Many men in their 70s have tried to date me. And I'm not interested in men that are below me socioeconomically, that don't have any culture, education, or proper resources like a house or stability. I'm not interested in men like that at all. Sorry. But a lot of men aren't interested in me either because I'm too old. I've already had kids. I'm whatever. Okay, so that's fine. I just think that people have to be realistic about whether there's someone that they're interested in is interested in them. For example, a guy who likes hot Latinas with big breasts is never going to be interested in me, ever. A man who likes 25-year-olds is never going to be interested in me. A man who prefers black women is never going to be interested in me, okay, ever. A man who prefers blondes with big tits will never be interested in me. A man who wants a woman with no children, a younger woman, will never be interested in me. And likewise, a man who's my age, who's never been married or had children, I will never be interested in him. So you have to be realistic and not get deluded. And I have been deluded. I've deluded myself so many times because I had a strong feeling for a guy, and I was utterly ridiculous looking back on it. Like, the guy that I was so sad over that I wrote the book, The Fuck List, that guy was around 30 years old, looking for a wife and wanted to have children. In my deluded mind, I thought we could date. We could have a relationship, even if it was just for a couple years. And he was a pretty successful guy, pretty great guy, actually. And I, in my mind, I could have him. And I couldn't understand. It took me so long. I'm like, surely he's telling me he doesn't want to be with me, but he's just saying that. He really does want to be with me. I can feel it. I can feel that he really wants to be with me. It was all bullshit. I deluded myself so many times out of my neediness and my delusions. There was another guy I really liked, also a guy. I started the opening chapter of my book, The Fuck List. I call him Tommy in the book. I really liked him. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just so vulnerable after I got divorced. I transferred my unmet need of love for my husband onto all these other men. I transferred it, frankly. And I thought, when he showed a little interest in seeing me besides these awesome hookups we had, I thought that if I just showed him that I was really interested in him, if I could just give him more love or pursue him in some way, that would open his heart. That's a strategy that works in families, because I had to use that even on my kids. My teenager might be angry with me over something. I'm like, hey, let's go to coffee. I had to be kind. I had to be the nurturer to restart something, right? Or say my ex-husband was in some kind of a mood, I could bring down his mood. I could calm him down. So I would be the conciliatory person, or I knew as a parent I had to give love to my children. So I use that same strategy on men. If I just love them more, then they will like me more. If I just show him that I really like him and give him love, my love will warm his heart. My heart will warm his heart. Utter fucking delusion. Utter fucking delusion. This is what I thought. My love will warm his heart. He can feel my love. I can feel my love. So he can feel my love. And because he can feel my love, it will make him like me. And it was just utter delusion. I remember this woman, right when I was going through my divorce and I was dating some lesbians, there was this woman I really liked. I believe she's in my book. And she just wanted to, she was a woman of my age, and she wanted to just see me maybe once a month for an overnight hookup. As with women, there's always an overnight, there's always dinner, there's always a nice email after, even for the most professional of women. And I couldn't understand that she didn't want to see me every weekend. she started getting a little bit freaked out by my intense interest in her. And so she didn't want to see me anymore. She said, I don't want to see you anymore. And I couldn't accept that. I'm like, but I have these feelings. It's got to be mutual. I'm like, I want to show my love for her. So I sent her flowers to her office. That really freaked her out. She took her profile picture off her LinkedIn. Then I sent her a book, like some kind of a poetry book, because I'm like, I want to express my love. I feel all this love. I want to express my love for her. And I really freaked her out. And I was pretty harmless. I didn't, but I can see how that really freaked her out because, at the beginning of this, I was still married. She was concerned that my ex-husband might come after her or that I might stalk her. So some of my behavior, sending flowers to a woman that was not interested in me, sending the poetry book to her. And my really good friend, told me that, Sharzad, you should not be sending her flowers or a book. You should not be doing that. I'm like, but I feel like it. I want to express my feelings. I was married to a guy where I wasn't allowed to express my feelings. I want to express my love. I want to give her love. And I just freaked her out. She didn't want it. It was too much. Now, looking back on that, I would say that I had a couple problems. One was I was deluded into thinking that someone that I had feelings for also had feelings for me, and just because I had a feeling, they had a feeling. That's a false belief. Most commonly, a strong feeling is one-sided. And even in relationships, usually one person has stronger feelings than the other person. So it's not necessarily mutual. It was a delusion. Number two, the role modeling I had seen about relationships was from my parents. My dad always went for people pleaser women, codependent women, like my mother and his current wife. Beautiful, intelligent, cultured, educated, nourishing, feminine women. And they would always try to please him. So my model for interacting with men is, how can I please you? If my needs are unmet because you're so neglectful of me and so callous towards me, what is wrong with me? How can I learn to be okay with this? How can I make you love me? I did that with my ex-husband a lot. How can I make you love me towards the end? That was my strategy. Instead of realizing that he really didn't. In the end, he really didn't. That's why they talk about women divorce men. Because you guys fall out of love with us. You guys fall out of love with us. That's why we divorce you. Anyway, and then also because my way of interacting with people had been like, this is how I interact with my family. I show them love to get them to like me. That does not work in dating and relationships. And that's probably why I make a lot of videos on the difference between men and women, or even in dating. We have to realize there's an attraction principle at play. I've made videos before talking about how love doesn't cause sexual desire. And feelings are not necessarily mutual. And just because a woman loves you doesn't mean she wants to fuck you. And just because you're attracted to a woman doesn't mean she's attracted to you. So we have to be realistic that desire and attraction are very different than friendship or family life or love. But I would say that I don't know that the men that I was into were repulsed by me. I mean, I know they wanted to fuck me, but they would have never dated me. And likewise, I would say that some of these men, I had this bookkeeping client years ago, and he told me that, and he was about 10 or 15 years older. He was a very nice guy, but he was not my type. And in his mind, he had decided that if he were not married, he and I could be dating. And I was thinking, if you were divorced, you would be the last man on earth I would ever allow to touch me. uh, he was a married guy, so fortunately he didn't try to pursue me. He was like, if I weren't married, I would be pursuing you. I had another bookkeeping client from another state, who told me that if I didn't live halfway across the country, I would be pursuing you. And again, I was thinking, no, I have no interest in you at all. None. None. And then this video is about a subscriber on my Just for Fans who fell into the delusion that I had some kind of interest for him. Utter delusion and fantasy. And so that's why I'm making this video. I know he watches my videos, but I don't want to just pick on him because I've done the same thing. I've done the same thing many times. So now what I do is I've had to get enough grounded in myself. I had to gain this understanding of attraction. I had to understand that if there's a guy interested in me, he's going to show it. And I know a woman interested in a man is going to show it. A woman interested in a man is going to talk to the man. She's going to show her interest, her availability. She's going to start conversations. She's going to start interactions. She's going to want to see him. A person interested in you is going to want to see you. That's what I would go with. So this is what I think. Basically, you have to see how interested someone actually is in you. A person interested in you, whether you're a man or a woman, is going to want to see you with no money or no sex taking place. So what does that mean? So that means as a woman, I look for men that are at my level, a little above my level, that I would want to be with, and I look for this type of man only to show an interest in me that is non-sexual. He wants to take me out. He wants to get to know me. He's not pushing for sex, okay? But he has to be a guy that's a guy I respect, that I would want to be with, that I would be proud to be seen with in public, that I would not be embarrassed to be seen with. I actually stopped talking to my sister because I'm embarrassed to be seen with her in public, okay? And for a man, if I were a man, I would look for a woman that is the kind of woman that I would want to date and be in a relationship with, that quality of woman. And I would want her to show an interest in me and being with me, even when I'm not paying for her or taking her to dinner. I would want her to show interest in me by being responsive to me, initiating conversations with me, wanting to spend time with me, asking when she can see me again without being needy. There's another thing too about people pleasing that people have to realize, because when we're interested in someone who's not interested in us, we're doing something that's called fawning. We're not only delusional, we're fawning, we're people pleasing, because obviously this person is not interested. They're not showing signs of interest, so we're doing some kind of pursuing. And notice when you're pursuing that you're fawning. You're people pleasing, you're trying to get someone to like you when they obviously don't. So that's where people have to learn to do some grounding in themselves. But people pursue people that are not interested in them at their own peril. So that's the fawning part. And finally, I think people have to allow themselves to be a little bit of a man has to be a little bit more of a badass, and a woman has to be a little bit more of a bitch. By that, I mean not a people pleaser. So the word nice guy is the term nice guy actually refers to a guy who's a people pleaser, who's insecure, manipulative, and a people pleaser, simping, which is repulsive to women. But the opposite, what he needs to be is more of a badass. Like, just see if she likes you. Don't try to make her like you, okay? So that's the people-pleasing part. But women can also be people pleasers. A people pleaser is really a codependent person. And chasing someone is codependent behavior and people-pleasing behavior. People don't realize it. They think that what they feel is real and it's mutual when it's not. They're in a delusion. Falling in love does make people delusional because they get all these chemicals going and they start acting in ways that they ordinarily wouldn't. So people have to be very aware that they, when they have strong feelings for someone, that they're actually in an altered state, in a drug-induced state of love chemicals, and they can create a lot of fantasies. That's why when you first meet someone, they seem so perfect. You create this perfection, you project this perfection onto someone, you project this feeling onto someone like, I like you, therefore you must like me. I put you on a pedestal, you're so awesome. It's all a delusion, it's a fantasy. And that's why falling in love is actually not a healthy thing at all, because you're inducing yourself into a state where you don't see reality clearly. And this is at your own detriment, because whenever you fall in love, whether it's someone real or not that likes you too, you're going to fall again. So falling in love is a fall. It's a fall from your own sense of self. And once that glow wears off, it's like the heroin high comes off, the cocaine high comes off, and you're left, what is wrong with this relationship? You're left with this flat feeling because all this feeling was just induced. It wasn't real. Um, Something else I wanted to say. Oh, yes. So just like men can be the nice guys, they need to be a bit more badass. There's a book called Why Men Love Bitches, but a bitch is really just a woman who has good boundaries and standards, which is opposite to women are taught to be people pleasers, okay? We're supposed to be nice, cooperative, kind, sweet, nourishing, and those are all good qualities that any human should have. But women are taught to fawn and to be people pleasers, like the women I talked about that I saw growing up, my mother and my stepmother. My stepmother, I've had her since I was 20 years old. Okay, so I've always seen women fawning over men who were basically assholes. My dad's pretty much an asshole, and these women just fawn over him and try to please him. So women were mostly socialized to be this way, but when they say men love bitches, it really means a woman with boundaries. So nice guy and bitches are kind of the opposite, because a nice guy and a woman who's not a bitch are both codependent people pleasers, fawning. But you kind of get the idea. When we say a woman should be a bitch, a man should be more of a badass. That means have some boundaries, have something going on, have some standards, and wait to see if someone's actually interested in you, and don't give up your sense of self, your own interests, because when you meet someone, because it's going to make them less interested in you. Chasing someone makes the other person feel smothered and less interested in you. Like me sending that woman flowers and a book, I seemed unhinged, and I probably was a little bit needy at that time. Certainly, I never drove by any of these people's houses. I never did anything like that. But I could see how people were freaked out by me just showing undeserved devotion. For me at that time, I know that was a misunderstanding, but it was also a transference. Because in my marriage, I just wanted to express all this love from my husband. I was not allowed to. So I had all this love I wanted to express. I wasn't allowed to, so I was looking for places to express it. So I started out with being interested in these lesbians because my thinking was, my husband will not let me express any of these emotions, and I know women are emotional, so I can have a girlfriend on the side, and I can go on dates with her and hold hands with her and walk through the city streets and go to bookstores and be romantic and look in each other's eyes while we're having sex. Because I cannot get this from my husband. He doesn't want to give that to me. I can get that from a woman. And I'll be careful not to fall in love with this woman because I'm in love with my husband. I want to value that relationship. In hindsight, I can see how fucked up that was. But you wonder why women file for divorce, because that's the kind of man I was married to. You know, he didn't treat me like, he wasn't in love with me at all. You know, he didn't want me to leave. He was devastated when I left, so he cared about me. But he didn't treat me like a man in love should treat a woman. I think that's why women file for divorce, because you guys fall out of love with us. You don't treat us like you're in love with us the way we treat you. That's what I think. Of course, there are women who just get bored, but my point being that I was trying to express love to a man who didn't want it, and I should have seen it back then. You know, I was so blinded. I was so devoted to my marriage. That was a mistake. I was so devoted to my marriage, and that I wanted this marriage to work, and I wanted to be able to express myself in this marriage. But I married a guy where that was never okay from the beginning. So, you know, I caused this state in myself of this unmet, you know, I just, yeah, you know, like when I want to make a video, okay, this is how I make my videos come about. Like I have an idea and I feel it in my body. I feel this energy in my body that just wants to express itself. Like I have something to say. And then you have noticed I will go for days and make no videos. When I don't feel that energy, I don't make a video. When I've tried to make videos, when I don't feel that energy, they're really bad. Okay, like right now I'm just free flowing because it's coming out of me. Whether you like my videos or not, I just feel like talking now. But sometimes I spend most of my days just listening to YouTube videos and taking in content, or just looking at the trees and just like absorbing things. And then sometimes I want to express things, but I also want to express things. Sometimes I want to cook. I want to express go to the grocery store and get things and put a meal into action. Or, you know, I want to donate money to someone who inspires me, like some YouTube journalist. Like I want to give you something. So there's these energies that come out, but there are also energies that go in, like when we're tired and we want to go to sleep. But in my relationship, you know, I had this energy, like I like to do things for him. I like to make a pretty home and pick up his dry cleaning and order his newspapers and, you know, listen to him talk and watch him get dressed for work and express my love for him and my sexuality. I want to express all this, but all the romantic expressions that I had, that I wanted to share with my husband, was not allowed. And so instead of realizing that I had to get out of that relationship, I tried to muffle my feelings around the edges. Like, well, what if I just repress these feelings? Just repress. Don't let them come out. Or what if I can express them with a woman? Or how can I deal with these feelings? I had a therapist tell me to take some Valium to calm these feelings. Like, I didn't know what to do with these feelings in the end. I was just looking for help and nobody could help me. That's why I started this coaching business about dealing with feelings. But really, all these feelings I had that I couldn't find an outlet, I divorced my husband in the span of having all these feelings, looking for an outlet that I wanted to express, especially sexually and romantically. And so I projected or transferred all these feelings onto all these different people that I met. Okay, I didn't know these people. In my book, I admit that I fell for a guy, this picture I saw online. So I would see these people, I would transfer my feelings onto these people. Oh, this is going to be a great guy. I know from his pictures. He's it. I can just tell from the picture, he's it. He ignites this feeling in me. This is it. These are very immature behaviors on my part, and it came from a lack of knowledge. That's why I'm making this video. I did not know that these feelings I had were not a sign from the universe that this was it, a sign from God that this guy was it, some inner knowing that he would feel the same way. It was all me just projecting feelings onto someone who didn't even know me, or men who had no interest in me. It was me projecting my feelings based on a belief that I had that my feelings were the truth, that my feelings should guide me. And feelings are not facts, and beliefs are not facts. I could go into the whole war thing. You know, there are people who think that we're the good guys when we're actually a colonial empire. And which is true, you know. So I came out of my marriage really able to be in another relationship. I was pretty stable, But I had this false illusion or delusion that based on, me seeing a guy in a picture, he would like me, or that some guy would come along and, like in the movies, a book drops and we both pick it up and we look at each other's eyes and we know he's the one. Real relationships are built on people that are in our community that we see regularly over time. They're not based on some fantasy or some delusion or some projection. People who are interested in us will let us know they're interested in us. They're stable, they're competent, they're at our level. They are people in our socioeconomic circle. Like I could never date a guy who is in the upper 1%. He would have no interest in me. I haven't gone to Harvard. I didn't go up in an elite boarding school. I don't have a house in Martha's Vineyard. I'm just an everyday working girl, middle class, average woman. I harbor no illusions. Someone like Jeff Bezos, oh my God, he's so evil, but someone of that level or a politician would never be interested in me. I'm not arm candy. I didn't go to an elite school. Like, look at Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., his wife, Lara Trump. She's not only gorgeous, she's also head of some Republican committee thing and does a bunch of legal work. Like them or not, these people all know each other from Ivy League schools, okay? I have someone in my family who went to an Ivy League school because her dad went to an Ivy League school. Back then, the tuition was like $60,000 a year for the undergrad, and these parents just pay it out of cash. They have the cash. It's no big deal. They're very wealthy people. And these people date each other. They meet each other at these Ivy League schools. I'm not in that league. I'll never get a guy like that. Nor would I want to, but that's not. And likewise, I'm never going to date a guy who smokes cigarettes or has a beer belly and doesn't read. Like, I'm never going to be interested in a guy like that. Or a guy, that has ADD or drug abuse issues. Like, I'm never going to date a guy like that. He's below me. These guys are above me. These guys are below me. So you got to stay with people that are in your league, and they will show an interest in you, and you will have things in common. So, I just think it's, at my age, it's just hard to meet people now because the places I like to go, men don't go. Men don't go to Pilates. They don't go to book clubs. They don't. I don't know. I just think for me, I get interested in men that are at my level, that I get to kind of know them over time. Like I told earlier about the working in the restaurant. There's another guy that I met. He was super, super great guy that I met when I worked in the senior center, where I worked as a nurse aide. I met my ex-husband in college. In all these situations, I saw these men gradually over time. Maybe initially I didn't like them, but they talked to me. It piqued my curiosity. It piqued my interest. Maybe the next time it peaked a little bit more. We kind of got to know each other. The attraction built. That's more how all my relationships started that way. And these were men that I looked up to, that I respected. They were white guys. They were fit, good looking, educated. And that's the kind of guy I like, that I met gradually over time. And I just don't see how I can ever be attracted to a guy who's beneath me, who I don't meet gradually over time. And likewise, I don't expect men that find me beneath them to be attracted to me. Attraction is different from humanity. And just because a woman is polite to you doesn't mean she has feelings for you. Just because a man fucks us, ladies, just because a man fucks us and he's very interested in us when he's horny, doesn't mean he has feelings for us or that he's interested in us. What it comes down to is that people who are interested in us will initiate conversations, and they will want to see us. Okay, so that is, again, I'm going to end the video with this. Someone who's actually interested in us, you don't have to create a delusion. They're going to show you. They're going to initiate contact, and they will want to see you. And they will not, and the guy will not just contact you when he's trying to get some pussy at 11 o'clock at night. He's going to want to see you to take you out on a date and get to know you. He's not going to be contacting you for sex. Even if you're sexual with him, some of the times that he contacts you, he is not going to want sex because men don't want to have sex every day. Some of the times when he's tired, he will still want to see you. Some of the times when he's not horny, he will still want to see you, watch a movie with you, take you to dinner, go for a run with you. Okay? And for the men, a woman who's interested in you will reach out to you. She will want to see you. She will want to do things with you that don't involve you spending money. She will want to cook for you. She will want to introduce you to her friends or do things that don't cost any money at all because she's just happy to see you. So that's what you want to look for. People who initiate contact, who want to see you, and there's no sex or money involved. They just like your company and they want to see you. Someone who doesn't want to see you, who's only texting you, is a red flag. Someone long distance is a red flag. And I'm giving you these warnings, and if you don't listen to these, you will be sorry. I'm predicting you will get your heart broken, you will get your body used, you will get your wallet used, and you will have your heart broken at your own peril because you got yourself in a delusion, falling for some phishing person, scammer, catfish online, or you create a fantasy that your feelings are reciprocated because you projected a reality onto someone. And I've done this too, so this is just me basing on my experience, and I don't do that bullshit anymore. I got out of that delusion. And I also got out of the delusion that the people on TV are telling me the truth. I'm just waking up. So thank you for watching my video. I really look forward to the comments on this one.